Oh boy. You know, Tesla, I've defended you a lot and I have advertised your brand and your cars across my channel for a long, long time, but it's probably a good lesson for all of my subscribers and this audience in general that I do not always defend Tesla. There are a few times where I think they're in the wrong, and today's video is not me saying Tesla is doomed or Tesla's in trouble or they're not going to reach, $1 trillion net worth before the end of the decade. I still believe all those things, and I think the fundamentals of that company are set, but sometimes things just get sloppy because I've been watching a whole lot of people get their Model Ys after their delivery day videos and they're so happy and excited, and then they start realizing there are a bunch of quality control issues, which of course I'm very disappointed to see, but I'm also kind of disappointed to see that when they get called out for that, a lot of people in the Tesla fan base immediately accuse them of being a Tesla hater or being overly pessimistic, when the truth is these are expensive cars and it's not a bad thing to want Tesla to do better. In fact, everyone I've seen reporting on the quality control issues they have with their Model Y, they're not people that are threatening to sell the car, send it back to Tesla, and never buy one again, okay? They're rooting for Tesla, so much forth that they were willing to put $50,000, $60,000 down on one. They just think that, building them correctly and building them as advertised and having good quality control off of the models that are being produced out of the factory is a good thing. Bringing that up, shining some light on it, and letting Tesla know, hey, there's some issues with these vehicles, as small as they may be. That's how Tesla gets better. This is how Tesla learns. This is how they can make their vehicles better in the long run, because we've seen this happen before. The Model 3 had a ton of quality control issues when it initially launched, and my kind of hope leading into the Model Y launch was that they'd kind of learned from that bumpy Model 3 release and figured out, okay, we need to be more careful about how we handle these things and we can be better with quality control. But to see that after this first batch of Model Ys has been delivered and there's lots of channels reporting quality control issues, it kind of shows to me that they haven't learned in certain areas. I'm sure they're learning in others, but the fact that the rear seats aren't aligning that well, and hopefully Tesla is seeing these videos and acting on them with the assembly line, but also seeing several videos of the hood not being aligned properly on the Model Y, along with the charge port not being flushed, the brake lights not lining up, of course the panel gaps. Certain people have been getting cars with paint missing in certain parts of the vehicle. They had the exact same problem with the Model 3 well into 2018 and 2019, by the way, and I was really hoping they could do better, but I just hope Tesla and the fan base as a whole realizes that when we're critiquing them for these quality control problems, we're not saying they're a bad company, or we're not saying they're doomed, or they're not going to succeed in the future. They are, because I think the parts that are hard to do about a car company, whether it be profitability, mass production, getting the power efficiency of motors and extending your range at a reasonable price point, autonomy and full self-driving technology, all kind of things that are fundamental and very hard for a traditional auto company to pick up on. They've got all of that down, but at the same time, it just puts a really, really sour taste in people's mouths when their first experience with these vehicles is looking over the entire design to see if there's problems and having to report them, and within a month having to schedule 3-4 service appointments to see if they can actually get things fixed. My good friend Ryan Shaw had to get his Model Y worked on several times, and one of the bugs he was experiencing was the hood of his car not realizing that it was closed. So whenever he would go out on the freeway, he couldn't use autopilot because the car thought that the hood was open even though it wasn't. Not to mention the spotty paint job, of course, as well as dirt being left over on the interior design when people are looking around, and seats rattling and that kind of thing. We don't want the car company of the future to be known for being sloppy when it comes to assembling their vehicles. And I've seen Tesla grow a lot. There were a lot of issues with several of their vehicles when they initially launched, but over time, they figure out what those issues are, they do their best to fix them on the assembly line, and the Model 3 you buy in 2020 is much smarter and much better put together than the Model 3s people got in 2017. But I really think Tesla could fix these issues from the beginning if they just had a lot more of a rigid and strict quality control program, that once a few Teslas come off the assembly line, people are measuring these panel gaps, they're looking at everything, because YouTubers and people who are finding defects with their Model Ys are able to spot these things fairly easily. They can usually see them within the first 24 hours, and if their customers can spot that as easily as they are, then it's very easy to just put someone in charge at the factory to be able to catch things like this and realize what they can do to the assembly line to prevent these from actually delivering them to consumers, which again are paying $50,000 to $60,000 plus on this vehicle. I can understand why this type of thing happens, because probably what's going on is Tesla is very, very focused on getting the Model Y out on the market. They want to be aggressive with their timelines, and they drive them, make sure they're safe, make sure autopilot's working and all that, but essentially the quality control check, to me, it sounds like some guy just walks around the car and goes, yep, all right, looks good to me, instead of actually getting down into the nitty-gritty details of what's wrong with the vehicle, or are we missing anything, especially as Tesla is going to be going into the German automotive market with Giga Berlin. They're competing with a lot of auto companies there that, granted, they don't have the battery technology or the autonomous driving that Tesla does, but they have figured out how to make a quality vehicle and how to not make these types of mistakes during manufacturing. In fact, I've already heard some really good things about the Model 3s coming out of Giga Shanghai, people saying that there's very little panel gaps, very little quality control issues over there, so I'm very happy to see they're making progress in their custom-built factories, and I hope we can see the same thing with Giga Berlin. But these types of things are unacceptable, and I really hope Tesla can work on them and fix them, because it's absolutely not a good look. It fuels the flame for all of the haters out there that want to nitpick Tesla to death, and at the same time, it's a lot of money to spend on a car, so there shouldn't be these types of issues right off of the assembly line. And for the record, I've seen several people take delivery of their Model Y with quality control problems, and these vehicles were built after the Fremont opened, after the shutdown during COVID. So there's still a bunch of running issues that I hope they can be more strict about. I hope you guys realize this is not me hating on Tesla. This is just me wanting them to succeed and wanting them to do better. It's still my favorite car company for sure. A Tesla is by all means still my dream vehicle, but watching these types of videos, you know, makes me a little nervous for that day I accept delivery and find out what's wrong with my car. And I'm sure a lot of you feel the same, but if you want to talk more about it, feel free to hit me up over on Twitter, join my Discord, we can chat more about it there. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.